Good morning.
Hello, how are you?
Not too bad. How are you doing?
Good.
Heard you had some pipes burst.
We did. We had a pipe burst. It was the issue was the 20 minutes it took to turn it off.
Oh.
That was the major issue. With that ground being iced over, he had to break through the ice. And then the previous homeowner didn't leave us the tool, so we literally had to turn it off with his hand.
No. So here's what you do. You go to Home Depot, Lowe's, and you get one of those keys now.
Yeah, the plumber, we managed to get a plumber out like the Thursday after it happened. And he left us a little tool. He left us one of the keys.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that didn't know what that was before that knows what it is now.
I know what that, like, I remember my dad using them. We've had water issues in our house when I was little, but I remember my dad having one and using it, and I didn't know we didn't have one. That was like where I was like, I don't have one? What is? But yeah, so that, a pipe bursting, yeah, it would have been devastating as it was, just because it's water damage to the house, but that it took like 15 to 20 minutes to turn it off was more the issue.
Yeah.
On top of, we were in the longer frame of not having electricity. Our electricity went out Sunday night, Monday morning at 1:30 in the morning, and came back on like the following Thursday.
So on top of it, you're already freezing, and then trying to get it turned off by hand, like that's
Yeah. We were really cold, and come to find out, our house really doesn't hold heat. It was down in the 40s, even with the fireplace going in the house. And when Colt came back after we were gone, it was 30, between 30 and 32 in the house when he came back after we'd been gone when he came back for the plumber.
Wow.
So our house really is terribly insulated. Just terribly insulated.
Texas.
Yeah. It's a little bit shocking how bad that was and how quickly the house dipped. But we're fine. It's good. It is what it is. But it was our guest bathroom on an outdoor facing wall that evidently the pipes weren't insulated, and one of the sewage pipe was sitting on the outside of the insulation, essentially with the cold air just blowing on it. Had no insulation around it, hence froze the pipe that's next to it. That is the one that burst. Yeah, it's just terrible making. That transition area, it was terribly made, evidently. So my workspace and Colt's workspace is being taken up with all the stuff that was downstairs that had water spraying on it. So, so I'm back to working in the garage. It's good. You guys are okay though? Survived, made it through? Yeah. Both houses. Well, I guess the other house pretty much had everything turned off anyways.
Yeah, I turned that off. So we got my mom kind of prepped ahead of time for water, and I turned that off Friday before the worst of the storm hit. So yeah, I do that. Like I already do that. If it's gonna dip below freezing at night, I shut it off at the street and empty my pipes before I go to bed, and then I turn it on the next day. But yeah, I've had one pipe burst, and luckily it was an outside pipe. So I just don't take chances anymore.
So much easier. Yeah. No, we will do that next time. He grew up in Vegas, and I grew up in Dallas, Fort Worth. So we've never had to deal with cold. And so we're pretty cold stupid. Like we've never had to deal with it. It's not something we've ever encountered. Yeah. So we were, we knew to drip the pipes, and we were dripping the pipes. We just we forgot about that bathroom. I'm not even gonna lie. With the power going out, and you get a certain level of cold, and I think you just get stupid. And we just didn't even consider it. It was not our smartest moment. But the most unfortunate part is, the pipe bursting, but all of our pool pipes essentially disintegrated. We have a pool in the backyard, and the whole system, all of the pipe, because the power shut off, so the pool wasn't running. And there was no way to empty.
There's no way to empty it.
There's just nothing you can do. And like literally all of the pipes out there just completely disintegrated and burst. And our pool drain, it's probably at half now, and it's still leaking. We don't know where the leak is.
Oh gosh.
So it's like, okay, all the things. So we'll see. It'll be fine. And then getting people out, like the insurance person came yesterday and he's like, well, you'll need to record like water levels in the wall to determine how much drywall you could take away. And we're like, dude, this was almost 2 weeks ago now. Like, what do you mean we need water levels? Like you guys took 2 weeks to come out and tell us this.
Yeah.
So, hey, it'll be fine though. It'll all work out.
You seem in good spirits, so that's good.
I now have 2 weeks of like looking back on it and being, or a full week of looking back on it and being like, oh, it's fine. It's stupid things. We don't really use that room. It's fine. I've seen pictures of other people's houses and I'm like, okay, our ceiling didn't cave in, which I was really worried about when we left, that our ceiling was going to completely collapse just because water was coming down from everywhere. I thought it looked like the ceiling was going to cave in. And so didn't know. So that's good. But anyways, enough about me. What do you guys want to work on? Where we haven't been here in a few weeks now. How are you guys? What do y'all need?
Ed.
I was gonna say leave it to Deborah.
You're both too nice to each other.
Yeah, I'm gonna say probably ankles and hips, since we have
a new squat cycle starting Monday.
She's doing another, like it's starting again.
Yeah, so Mondays will be singles and then Thursdays will be fives? Or
Mondays are fives.
Okay.
And then
Thursdays are singles.
Singles, yeah.
Okay. All right. So ankles and hips.
Yeah.
Okay. Yay, more squats. Gonna rock the squats out. Okay. All right. Let's retest a squat on our back instead of coming into a full squat. Let's do a happy baby. So if you have a strap or something, you can, but laying on the ground and grabbing your feet, your ankles, your thighs, grab some part of you that you can reach. If you can reach your feet, grab your feet. If not, grab your ankles. If you can't reach that, grab your thighs. But a reclined squat is essentially what you're doing. And take a moment and play with your pelvis, like untuck your pelvis and notice how that feels. Can you do it? Just get a sense for it. It's good. And then we'll let that go. Bring the legs down. Let's come into reclined butterfly as well. So soles of the feet together, knees flop open. Taking a reclined butterfly. Getting a sense of that. Slightly more relaxing. Send your attention to the inner thighs, to the outer hips. Notice if you can feel what's restricting you from going further. For me, the pull's in my inner thighs. Sometimes, though, my outer hips won't release down. And then we will let that go. Grab your set of balls, and we're going to focus kind of on the outer hip. We're going to get that glute med, and then we're going to come around and get that kind of triangle of anger right on the front of most people's legs there. I like to get the outer hip kind of by starting with the balls kind of on the outside of my pelvis. I'm at the very top of my pelvis and I'm starting the balls right there and I'm just gonna roll them downwards and roll them back up. How it looks, setting myself up, rolling down, and I roll all the way down. You'll hit that greater trochanter, that bony prominence on the outside of the hip. You'll feel it, and then bring it back up. And if this is too much, you can do it at the wall. This is one I don't suggest doing with lacrosse balls, but I think y'all are peanut balls. This is a lot with lacrosse balls. All right, find a place that feels a little more tender. I've got one here kind of towards the top. And we're gonna take the leg that we're rolling, so that bottom leg, and lift it up towards the ceiling. A little Jane Fonda throwback. But adding a little extra stretch kind of to that tender area. If you feel that kind of dissipate, we'll let it go, find a new spot. Let's do both of them this time. So find a new spot and we're going to contract the muscles. So instead of just lifting up, you're going to press your foot, karate chop it down into the ground, and you'll feel that muscle turn on. You'll hold that for a moment and then release, let that contraction go. And then you can lift up towards the ceiling. Maybe you'll get a bit more range of motion. And you can always do that again, repeat if necessary, pressing down, karate chopping down through the ground with that leg. Feel the muscle contract and then let it relax, let the ball sink in deeper. And then when you're ready, lift and lower a bit. And then find a new spot if you can. All right, I'll give you another 30, 40 seconds to kind of play around with this area. And then we'll let that one go. And we're going to bring the balls around to the front. So if you imagine, if you had on, these are slightly more low cut, but if you had on jeans that came to your proper waist, if you imagine where that pocket would be, that's where the balls are going to go, kind of in your pocket zone. It's a little off to the side, but a little in the front. I like to set them up kind of at an angle. That's what feels good for me. And then you lay down almost on your front, almost on your side, and roll left to right, right to left over the top portion of that quad. Should feel just lovely. I'm going to say for me, I would feel better with one ball, so I'm going to go down to one. Yep, that's too bad. Okay. Everyone feels a little different in this area, so try a little up and down scrub, try a little left to right scrub. There's quite a few muscles coming into conjecture right here, so play around with it a little, go up, go down, go left, go right. Chances are you'll find a spot that is quite cranky. All right. And then we will let that go and we'll go over to the other side. Same thing round two. So if you're like me and de-toted the balls, bring them back together in their tote. We're gonna move to the other side, starting with that outer hip. So finding the top of the pelvis, starting the balls there, rolling them down until you hit that greater trochanter, that bony commonnus on the outside of the hip, and then rolling them back up. Take a few swipes up and down. Get a sense for how this hip is feeling compared to the other one. Once you've gone up or down a few times, you'll probably then begin to kind of realize where your tender spots are. Find a spot, hang out on it, lift and lower the leg. I would say the side for me is much worse than the other side. If that first spot begins to dissipate, find a new spot. You can always come into that contraction, karate chop down into the ground. Hold the contraction. You'll feel the balls kind of press out of the tissue as the tissue contracts. Hold for a breath. Let it go. Let that muscle relax and then perhaps begin to lift and lower. Create a little extra stretch in the area. For me, that contract relax does a pretty good job of letting the tissue relax just a little more than it was. This side feels a bit evil. All right, we'll take just another 30, 40 seconds here on this side. Finding all those lovely angry spots before moving on. All right, and then we will let that go, coming to the front of the hip. So once again, kind of that pocket area, setting the balls up. I like to put them at a little bit of a diagonal, laying down. So you're partially on your stomach, partially on your side, rolling left to right, rolling up or down, figuring out what this side needs and where that tension is being held. I'm once again going to drop it down to one ball. Feel free to join me if it doesn't feel too awful for you. I like to mix it up, go a little left, right, a little up, down. Take just another 20, 30 seconds here. and then we will let that go. Come off of that. If your balls are detoted, let's retote them. Get into the front of the ankle real quick, and then we'll get into the back of the ankle. Since you're sitting on the ground, let's take a moment, stick your feet out in front of you, and pull your toes towards your shins, getting a sense of what your dorsiflexion range is. I can feel that my right is always more than my left, but my right is feeling a little tight today. My left is always feeling tight, it's never ending, but it's good. I like to use a block for this. We're gonna set ourselves up so that the balls are essentially hugging the shin. For me, there are a couple points I like to hit. And one of them, if you feel the very top front of your shin, you'll feel this bony prominence right on the front of the tibia. And then if you roll out to the side just a little bit, there's this meaty portion where that anterior tib starts. For me, that spot gets quite tender. So I like to kind of focus there. And then I also like to focus down kind of towards the ankle. So once I get down here in the more tendinous portion, coming off to the side right above this lateral malleolus here, this lateral ankle bone, coming up right in there is also a bit tender. So for me, these two spots kind of help release this whole anterior tib, this anterior compartment of the shin, and kind of give me some relief. So kind of feel on yourself. You can maybe feel your way down, or maybe you just inherently know where those spots are for you. But there's some ideas. I like to set it up on a block, hug the shin, one ball on each side, and then begin to roll up and down a few times. Kind of warming up the area. I will say the block makes it a little more intense. So if doing this on the ground is better for you, please do so. Once you've gone up and down the shin a few times, find a spot you like. In other words, one that's a little tender. And what we're gonna do is, I'm on my right leg, so I'm gonna lean off towards the right so that the ball sinks into the meaty portion. I like to stack my ankles and just kind of really balance, because I'm a glutton for punishment. But you know, make it so that it's intense enough for you, but at the same time, feels like it's doing good work. Leaning off, and then I like to twist left and right. And then make your way to a new spot. Perhaps moving down the ankle a little bit, leaning off, twisting left and right. I'm going to take it down all the way to the top of the ankle. So that lower portion that I was talking about a moment ago, I'm going to bring it down into there. Find a good spot. I'm going to lean off to the right. And then I'm going to find some movement of my ankle. So I'm going to point and flex my toe, maybe come into some ankle circles, with the focus being on jabbing the ball essentially into those tendinous, those muscles, the tendinous attachments right on the outside of the ankle, trying to create a little more shear through those places. All right, and then we're gonna let that go. And let's get into the lower part of the ankle here. we're gonna detote our balls for this. And unfortunately the shadows in here are not the best. Let me grab one of my. Okay. So the area we're going for now is going to be, let me see if I can do it this way. Let's see if I can show you from here. The shadows are just really bad in here. So essentially what I'm looking at is, here's my lateral ankle bone. I'm gonna go for this Achilles portion back here. So I'm gonna place one ball right on the back side of that ankle bone. And then I'm gonna place the other ball right on the back side of this medial malleoli, this inner ankle bone, so that I'm trapping this Achilles portion and trying to create movement of the skin around the Achilles, as well as trying to create a little bit of a false range of motion to get some stretch through the tendinous area there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So the setup is setting one ball underneath. For me, I'm using my bigger ball underneath, but you guys have two bigger balls, so you should be good here. Setting one underneath and then bringing one on top. And now you're in complete control of how much pressure you're doing here. Maybe just this ball underneath is enough to create some shear when you point and flex or move your foot through a range of motion. Maybe adding that second ball does some good stuff for you. It's up to you on how you want to do this. I like to take the top ball and kind of rub up and down, create a little scrub. Essentially, my intention being to create movement between the skin and the deeper layers so that the skin isn't becoming too tacky over the top of that Achilles. It does feel kind of burny when you do it. Burns just a little bit, but it shouldn't feel like overly injured. Like it shouldn't feel like you're injuring anything. For me, it's just like a little, almost like you're giving yourself a little, I don't know, we used a bad term for it, but when you grab somebody's arm and you twist.
Indian
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Native American.
No longer PC term.
No, PC terms, and I don't know if they even call it anything anymore. I don't know if it's still a thing. I'm sure it's still a thing. I don't know what it would be called.
Yeah, me either.
I don't doubt kids are still doing it because it's too easy to not still do to somebody. All right, keeping in mind that your Achilles is quite long, so feel free to move up the ankle just a little bit as you go, as well as down into the heel bone itself, so that Achilles attaches into the heel bone and essentially becomes the, I'm going to call it the skin around the heel, that periosteum. So keeping in mind that working into that heel bone and that skin around the heel bone, you are getting into the Achilles itself. So working your way all the way up and all the way down. This is very direct ankle work here. And then we will let that go. So put your feet out in front of you and then once again, flex through the feet and see if you feel any difference. Like my right is a lot less sticky right now than it was before. Feels more mobile. All right, let's go to the left or whichever side you haven't done yet. Getting into the top of the shin, setting yourself up. Rolling all the length of that anterior tib to begin with, getting a sense for where your tension is. And then once you've gone up and down it a bit, if you want to get more exact, you can lean off to the side, begin to shift left and right, creating a little shear. So I'm on my left side, leaned off to the left, and then I rotate that leg side to side, working my way down that shin. And you might have a specific area. Like for this one, I know on this side, the closer I get to the ankle, the more tender it gets. Taking just another couple breaths to feel the front part of this ankle, of the shin out. And then we will let that go, come off of that. Now we're going to come into the very direct ankle work, working around that Achilles. So locating the ankle bones on either side, that lateral and medial malleoli, and the balls are going to go, once again, right behind them. So setting yourself up, one ball underneath, and the other ball on top. And like I said, on the other side, having just the ball underneath might be enough for you. You might just be able to do some range of motion here and that feel okay. But if you want a bit more, taking that ball on top and scrubbing up and down that Achilles, for me, always feels really good. You might locate a tender spot or a few tender spots, and once you're there, you can once again point and flex the toe, create just a little range of motion. The idea being to move that skin around the deeper tissue. So to get that top layer of skin more mobile. Keeping in mind that working up higher is not a bad thing. Neither is working down lower, getting into that skin around the heel bone. Lots of tendons come in and around this area, as well as that Achilles attaches into that bone. So getting that tissue mobile is helpful in releasing that Achilles. Just another couple breaths here. This side really needs it on me. I can feel it. And then we will let that go. Bring your feet out in front of you. Once again, point and flex the feet. See if it changed. Mine feels a bit more, both of them feel a little looser for me. Hopefully that's the case for you. Let's check out our happy baby again. Get a sense for where that is. So coming onto the spine, grabbing maybe for the feet, maybe for the ankles, the calves, the quads, doesn't matter. Grab somewhere, check out your happy baby. Play with the pelvis. Can you play a bit more than you could earlier? Maybe yes, maybe no. A hard place to find your pelvis, but give it a shot. And then we will let that go. Let's do some deep lunge stand-ups. Actually, let's do some range of motion first, and then we'll do some deep lunge stand-ups. So setting yourself up so that your foot is in front of you, foot is fully on the ground, we're gonna come into really big knee circles. So keeping my foot locked down, knee's gonna go out, forward, in, and then straighten. In, out, straighten. So big knee circles going one way and then going the other way. Getting yourself familiar with this deeper range of motion. Most people's tendency is to put their hands somewhere on their own body. Can you keep your hands free and let your leg actually hold the weight of your body as it comes through center? The answer can be no, not today, but it's worth a try. So one more each direction. And then we will switch sides. This is my bad side. It's the one I really want to touch myself with, but I'm going to try really hard to not rest my hands on my hips, to make my knee accept the weight, to make my ankle accept the weight as I move through that range of motion. Really hovering into that knee on the outside, knee on the inside, forcing your body to take the weight there as long as it's not painful.
Today is a day of foot cramping.
Yeah.
Yes, that will happen. Let's take one more each way. And then let's let that go. And let's do something for the foot cramping. So, if you have a block, having the block in front of you might be useful. What we're gonna do is we're gonna tuck the toes under. Now, when we tuck the toes under, people tend to wanna do this. You see my feet flop outwards. I want you to do everything in your power to keep those feet locked together. Can you keep your ankles as close together as possible as you turn the toes under and sit up on them? Now, the block is here in case sitting all the way up is an impossibility for you. If this is too much, that's okay. Hands can come forward on the ground to relieve some of the tension. But we are going to hang out here for a moment and do some movement. So your toes are completely tucked under, even that little pinky toe. Your ankles are as close together as they can possibly be. And now you're going to take your toes and you're going to scrape them backwards to the best of your ability. They're not actually going to go anywhere, but you're going to feel that activation on the bottom of the foot, hopefully. Feels like a lot to me. Breathing through it. Pressing those toes down and away, down and away, down and away. And then we're going to release that. And you're going to now attempt to lift the toes off the ground. So your toes are in full extension, and now you're just going to try to create a little more extension with them. They're not going to actually go anywhere, but you're just going to try really hard to make that happen.
My shins.
Yeah. Feel it in your shins. And now we're going to reverse it. We're going to do it one more time. Press down and away. Down and away, down and away. Scrape the ground away from you. Attempting to activate the bottom of that foot. It's making me sweat. It's fine.
Yeah.
And then lift the toes up. Try to lift them up and away. Coming into extension, you'll feel the shins a lot. Did a lot of running in the conditioning class yesterday. My feet are feeling it. And then lean forward and very, very carefully untuck the toes. And I like to just create a little bit of a tap that just kind of lets them be okay for a moment. And then we're going to feet as such, same thing. My ankles are together. I'm trying to keep my heels together and not let them splay out. Can I keep my heels together and sit back over the top? The answer might be no, but I can try to sit back as much as I can. I still have this block in case I need it. In case this is an impossibility, this block is here to help me as I come back. All right. Now we're in full extension here. We're going to go through the same thing. So now you're going to point your toes to the best of your ability. You're sitting on top of them. Can you point them and curl your toes up off the ground? Yeah, but hello. Breathe and hold it. And then you're going to reverse it. You're going to press your toes into the ground as hard as you possibly can. You're going to push the tops of your foot into the ground as hard as you can. Making it work. You'll feel your whole shin and calf really, really, really turn on. And then we're going to do it again. Point the toes to the best of your ability. Point, 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 point. Feel the bottom of the foot really, really, really turn on. Hello, calves. Hello, shins. And then we're going to press the tops of the toes into the ground as hard as we possibly can. Press, 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 press them down. And then we are going to let that go, come up, give your feet a little tap, tap, tappity tap. And then we are going to come up to a stand. Just gonna leave the camera like it is so you can see my feet. So hopefully your feet are really awake now.
They're dead.
They're dead, finished, no more. So we're gonna do this little Elvis move where you're on the ball of your foot. My heel is off the ground here. My goal is going to be to twist my shin outward, but that's actually going to bring my heel really, really close to my forefoot. And then I'm going to twist it in, and that's going to sink my arch to the ground. So I'm going to go in, create a short foot, and then I'm going to go out and lose my arch. Working your way in and out. So it's like you're twisting your foot. To me, this just feels like a really good stretch whenever I lose that arch, and then a really big foot activation when I create that short foot. Couple more times back and forth. And then we'll let that go and switch sides. It's a lot on the foot, it is twisting. All right, letting the knee drop out. Ball of the foot is locked down, letting the knee drop out, creating that really short foot. So can I squeeze my forefoot towards my heel, towards my hind foot to the best of my ability, and then drop that heel outward as my knee drops in, and now I'm just diminishing my arch. Going in and out. Now, as you get better at this and more comfortable with the movement, you want to bring the knee straight on both sides. So can I let my knee straighten as my foot shortens? Can I let my knee straighten as my arch diminishes? So This is my more mobile foot, so I'm a little bit better able to get that straight knee. All right, let's let that go. Shake it off. Let's do one more. We're gonna do a deep lunge stand up. So this is whole foot and hip activation. Essentially what you wanna come to, and I think we did this a couple weeks ago, is a very, very deep lunge where you're in essentially on one leg, the bottom of your back squat. And from here, my goal is gonna be, I've tucked this back foot under because I know I need a little bit of extra help, but my goal is gonna be to press down through this front foot, stand myself all the way up, and then to the best of my ability, lower myself all the way back down into that squat position. So, yeah, I'm doing my best to only use the one foot, but I have all of this dorsiflexion. I'm trying to maintain all of that knees over toe that I'm trying to allow happen. It doesn't take many to feel it. And when you're done on one side, for me, like 4 to 5 on one side is plenty. Switch to the other side and same thing. This is my bad side, but I really need that extra foot to help me. But I'm aiming to get my knee as far from my toes, create all this dorsiflexion, and forcing myself up. Using that back leg as little as possible to create the movement. Try to even yourself out. You'll know when you're relatively done with it. There you go. Slightly more useful than a pistol squat, I feel like. Nice. All right, let's do one more final one, just for the hell of it. We're gonna let this one feel kind of good. So it's a, you know, if you do yoga, it's a flowing camel pose, but it's a stretch for the whole front of the quads and everything. We're gonna take this nice and easy. And if you know that you don't extend well, a block behind you is your best friend. But your hand is coming behind you, you're squeezing the butt, lifting up, nice stretch through the front side of the body, setting it back down, placing the block on the other side, squeeze the butt, lift up, nice stretch, coming back down, switching sides. So moving left to right, only getting as much stretch as actually feels good. It should just feel good. So keep that in mind as you're doing it. You can always do it without the block as well if you like. Maybe taking about one more on each side. And then we will let that go. All right. Good job, guys. Thanks for coming. We do have recovery next weekend. I don't know. I couldn't convince them to switch the day. So here we are. We will have recovery next weekend, and then it's going to be like 2 weekends off because I'm covering for Jen, and then we'll have it again the following weekend. So I think it's like the first weekend of March, and then one of the end weekends of March. And then we're back in April. Do keep in mind, live is always better, I feel like, but there is still this the library that is online that you are welcome to use.
I don't know. I tried to get it moved to a different day, but it got shot down. So we're a few times a month on Sundays is what it's going to end up being at this point in time. So, but we'll be here when we are and use the library.
You know, we'll be
We
here.
will be here.
I appreciate that. You guys have a good week. I think I'll see you this week or next week. It is this Thursday. I was like, is it this week or next week? Can't remember. Yeah, I'll see you Thursday for your massages. Good luck with squats. Yay.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.